The recent indictment of music mogul Sean P. Diddy Combs has sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry and beyond. Federal investigators have amassed a staggering amount of evidence leading up to Diddy's arrest, highlighting allegations of his involvement in serious crimes such as racketeering, sex trafficking, and conspiracy. The search of Diddy's homes in Los Angeles and Miami yielded a trove of items that paint a disturbing picture of the scale and complexity of the alleged criminal activities. Among the items seized were guns, ammunition, electronic evidence, and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and personal lubricants, raising questions about the nature of the events that took place behind closed doors. According to court documents, these items were allegedly used during so-called freak-offs, which were elaborate sexual performances arranged by Diddy, involving commercial sex workers and a wide range of controlled substances, all while being electronically recorded. The severity of these allegations is amplified by claims that Diddy's victims were often left physically and emotionally scarred, some requiring medical intervention such as IV fluids after these events. As this case unfolds, the details revealed in court documents have added a layer of complexity to Diddy's public persona, portraying him as the orchestrator of a vast and dark criminal enterprise. The federal indictment against Diddy follows a series of legal battles, starting with a civil suit filed by Cassandra Ventura, known publicly as the singer Cassie, in which she accused Diddy of years of physical and emotional abuse. The lawsuit, which was settled out of court, marked the beginning of a wave of accusations against the music mogul, with multiple other individuals coming forward to detail similar experiences of sexual abuse, coercion, and violence. One of the most prominent cases was filed by producer Rodney Jones, known as Lil Rod, who accused Diddy of being the kingpin in a gun, drug, and sex trafficking operation. Lil Rod's lawsuit included claims of sexual assault and echoed many of Cassie's allegations, further linking Diddy to a criminal underworld. Lil Rod's case also included a chilling detail that caught the attention of federal investigators: the existence of hundreds of hours of video and audio recordings documenting Diddy's alleged illegal activities. This revelation set the stage for the federal raids on Diddy's properties, where investigators searched for and seized digital evidence, adding another layer of intrigue and complexity to the case. The breadth and depth of the evidence collected so far suggests that this case is far from over, and that more charges could be on the horizon as prosecutors continue to build their case. Despite the mounting evidence, Diddy has maintained his innocence. His legal team has portrayed him as a family man, a philanthropist, and a self-made entrepreneur who has been unfairly targeted by these accusations. According to Diddy's lawyers, he has been cooperative with the investigation from the start, even relocating to New York in anticipation of the charges. They argue that the public should withhold judgment until all the facts have been presented in court, insisting that Diddy has nothing to hide. Nonetheless, the nature of the allegations, combined with the overwhelming amount of evidence presented so far, makes this a case that will likely continue to capture public attention for months, if not years, to come. The federal charges alone, including racketeering and sex trafficking, are serious enough to carry heavy penalties, and the sheer volume of electronic evidence seized suggests that this case may lead to further revelations about Diddy's conduct and the scope of his alleged criminal activities. Whether or not Diddy is ultimately found guilty, this case represents a significant moment in the ongoing conversation about power, exploitation, and accountability in the entertainment industry. As federal investigators continue to sift through the evidence, many are left wondering how such extensive and illegal activities could have taken place over such a long period without drawing attention. The allegations against Diddy, which span decades, suggest that his influence and wealth may have helped shield him from scrutiny. The case raises important questions about the complicity of those around him, members of his business empire and personal entourage who may have facilitated or turned a blind eye to his actions. The indictment mentions that Diddy's business associates were instrumental in orchestrating these freak-offs, from arranging travel for commercial sex workers to stocking hotel rooms with controlled substances and other supplies. There are also claims that these employees worked to cover up the aftermath of these events, cleaning up rooms and ensuring that evidence of the illegal activities was minimized. This level of involvement from those around Diddy suggests that the case may expand beyond just the music mogul, potentially implicating other individuals in his orbit who helped facilitate or conceal the alleged crimes. As the legal proceedings continue, it will be critical to see whether these individuals will also be held accountable for their roles in the unfolding scandal. The case against Diddy has garnered widespread media attention, with public interest focusing not only on the criminal charges but also on the broader implications of the scandal. The allegations of sexual abuse, coercion, and trafficking come at a time when society is increasingly scrutinizing the behavior of powerful figures in entertainment, politics, and business. Diddy's indictment follows a series of high-profile cases in which prominent men have been accused of exploiting their power and influence to engage in illegal or unethical behavior. As with other cases, Diddy's legal battle will likely fuel further conversations about the intersection of wealth, fame, and accountability. For now, the case stands as a stark reminder of the dark undercurrents that can exist in the world of celebrity, where the lines between public persona and private actions are often blurred. The legal process ahead will determine whether justice is served, but the court of public opinion has already begun to weigh in, with many expressing shock and outrage at the disturbing details of the allegations against one of the music industry's most iconic figures. Did Sean Combs really try to blow up rapper Kid C's car? It's a stunning allegation that we first saw in Cassandra Ventura's lawsuit, but it is now echoed by prosecutors in their criminal case against the entertainment mogul. We're going to break this down for you, and we get a chance to speak to a fire investigator about what evidence can prove Combs was allegedly behind this arson. Welcome to Sidebar presented by Law Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. There are quite incredible allegations surrounding Sean Diddy Combs that we have to talk about. The question becomes, how will prosecutors prove this? As we know, Combs was arrested last week pursuant to a grand jury indictment out of the Southern District of New York. He's charged with racketeering conspiracy, basically for agreeing with others to operate a criminal enterprise that engaged in a pattern of illegal activity. For years, Combs allegedly threatened and abused women, committed sex trafficking of an individual using fraud or coercion to have them perform commercial sex acts, and transported people to engage in prostitution. These are very serious felony charges. If convicted, he could potentially face life behind bars. In the indictment, prosecutors allege that, as part of this racketeering conspiracy, Combs and his co-conspirators engaged in several underlying or predicate crimes that they will attempt to prove. These crimes include forced labor, sex trafficking, kidnapping, and violent acts to assert control and further the criminal enterprise. In fact, the indictment reads that when employees, witnesses to his abuse, or others threatened Combs' authority or reputation, he and members of his associates engaged in acts of violence, threats of violence, threats of violence, threats of financial and reputational harm, and verbal abuse. These acts of violence included kidnapping and arson. This is what I want to focus on right now, the arson. In a racketeering charge, prosecutors must prove these underlying crimes, at least two predicate underlying crimes. Here, arson is defined under the California Penal Code. A person is guilty of arson when they willfully and maliciously set fire to or burn, or cause to be burned, or who aids, counsels, or procures the burning of any structure, forest, land, or property. Who could this arson be referring to? Well, going back to Cassandra Ventura's lawsuit, and remember, Combs' ex-girlfriend, who initially sued him for sexual assault, battery, and sex trafficking back in November 2023, started this whole ball rolling. She alleged in her lawsuit that in 2011, during a rough patch in her relationship with Sean Combs, she had a relationship with rapper and Grammy Award-winning artist Kid Cudi, real name Scott Mescudi. She further alleged that Mr. Combs found emails between her and Kid Cudi. Enraged, Mr. Combs allegedly threatened her and later told Ms. Ventura that he was going to blow up Kid Cudi's car. Around that time, Kid Cudi's car exploded in his driveway. Now we have this allegation and the mention of arson in the indictment. Then we go to the government's B letter filed with the court. They advocated that Combs be denied bail, which he has been twice, and alleged that, in the early morning hours of December 22, 2011, the defendant and a co-conspirator kidnapped an individual at gunpoint to facilitate breaking into the residence of Individual 1. While Individual 1 is not named, we'll get to that later. Multiple witnesses are expected to testify at trial regarding the events surrounding the kidnapping and break-in, which are corroborated by police reports and other records. Approximately 2 weeks later, the defendant's co-conspirators allegedly set fire to individual one's vehicle by slicing open the car's convertible top and dropping a Molotov cocktail inside. Police and fire department reports extensively document the arson and conclude that the fire was intentionally set. Multiple witnesses are expected to testify about the defendant bragging about his role in destroying individual one's car, hence the connection to Kid Cudi. This mirrors Ventura's description of events, although there's a slight timing difference about a month between her claims and what prosecutors state. Kid Cudi responded to Ventura's claims, and his representatives told the New York Times back in November that this is all true. However, Combs' lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, claimed there is no evidence that Mr. Combs was involved or directed these actions.